Greetings and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to make up a couple of wire harness extensions. A couple days ago, someone reached out to me that knows I make wire harnesses and other electrical related stuff and asked me if I can make up these extensions for a project they are working on. This is kind of short notice, actually like 3 or 4 days short notice. I don't know. They do research of some sort and they need to move a piece of their instrumentation either off of the device they're working on or relocate it to a different location. So they asked if I had, actually what they did is they sent me a text message with the connectors and said, hey, we need to move this about 12 feet, and showed me the connectors and asked if I had anything on hand. I checked my stock and found I have some connectors, enough that will work for them. These have actually been used previously on a different project, so for their purpose it'll be okay. I don't, short notice, I got to work with what I have, even down to the wire. So what I'm going to do is I'll actually show a picture. I'll put the picture up in the video here so you can see what they sent me for information. But there's a 12-pin connector and then a 4-pin connector. And each of them have, well, the 4-pin does have all 4 pins populated. The 6-pin has 6 of the pins populated. I didn't have enough wire on hand in individual strands, but I have, this is actually trailer wire, trailer cable, 6 wires inside of a sheath, which is enough for protecting the wires. So for the 4-pin one, particular this 4-pin one, I'll just use 4 of these wires. The 12-pin one has something particular about it that I can't just use all the 6 wires there. There are 2 wires in that connector, that harness, the yellow and green one, that are a communication wire, and those need to be what's called a twisted pair. So that presents a problem because I don't just have 12 feet of twisted pair wire on hand, but there is a solution for that, and I will show that. And basically I'll just make my own, but I'll show that in a little bit here. To get started, I'll run through the 4-pin one and strip the ends, install the connectors, and put it together, and then that one will be out of the way. So I've removed the outer sheathing here, and I left one left to do, so I'll do that quick. My dimensions here are about 1 inch per square. So I'm going to take off 2 inches of sheathing. Want to be careful so we don't cut through the sheath, or we want to cut through the sheath, but we don't want to cut through the insulation on the wires. Once that's done, I'll get rid of this white stuff in the middle, like a filler. In the picture, it's a black 4-pin connector. That's not an issue as long as, yeah, so the 4-pin Deutsch DT series connectors, they're not keyed, they're just color different. It's kind of a way to see if you're connecting stuff up right. There's a possibility it might have this thing goes inside here, called a wedge lock. It might be keyed specific to, made up with the wedge lock that goes in here, but I doubt it. This particular application, it's more than likely it's just black connector, so it's easier to connect up or visually see how it should be connected. These are my wire colors, I think. So I think there's two black colors, black wires in that picture. I will pick one of the black to be the black, and then I'll, maybe assign the white to be the black too. There's also not an orange in this here, so I'll go with red. I don't know if it's orange or not. I can't see very well in that picture. So I'll mark, we'll do red for orange. I can do brown for blue. We'll do black for black 1. And then white for black 2. We start out by figuring out how much insulation we need to take off. Okay, so the insulation is removed on each conductor or each wire. Now we can that is the gauge of wire we'll be crimping, and this crimper is called mistake proof. Is mistake proof as I think you can get something like this. You put the terminal over the wire. There's a witness hole. We want to see that copper is covering that witness hole. Then we put it in the barrel of the crimper. We squeeze. You can see the dies crimp on all 4 sides, or crimp for 4 places around the circumference of that terminal. We'll do this 4 times. More than likely the wires in that original machine harness are 18 gauge. These are 16 gauge, so they're a smidge overkill, but again, short notice. This is all I have on hand. So that side is done. I'll put these in. So red goes into number 1. The cavities on the connector are marked. Slip it in until it locks in place. We install this thing here, call it wedge lock. And that makes sure our pins can't back out. I'll jump to the other side and do that one. Stripper insulation. This side uses it's officially called a socket. It's a female style pin or terminal. Same thing. There's a little hole there. So we feed the wire in, making sure to get all the strands in there. We make sure we can see copper in that hole. Same thing on this side. Ooh, I poked myself. Shoot. There are numbers there. This doesn't want to focus. Yeah, there. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Pin 1 is red, or yeah, cavity 1 is red. Cavity 2 is brown. Make sure our seal stays on. Then we put our wedge lock in. I may clip these off. I might just tape them back, but that's the 4-pin one is complete. So we'll move on to the 12-pin connector with the 6 wires. All right, onto the 12-pin connector. I'm going to start by putting cavity plugs in the unused cavities. This keeps dirt and moisture, whatever else, it keeps the plugs sealed. So again, we have there's a black one and a black two. There's a red and orange. And then my yellow and green. These are the twisted pair. That's for CAN bus. CAN high and CAN low are the communication wires that will need to be addressed after I hook up the 4 wires here. Call black one black, orange, do black 2 is white, orange will do as brown, black, brown, red, white. Again, same thing, same terminals on each side, and then we'll put them into the connector. We'll fold our green and yellow out of the way, and then strip the ends. That's the, say, half of the 12-pin connector complete. I'll go over the twisted pair part here quick, and then I'll finish this harness up. Okay, I'll demonstrate how I will make up my twisted pair communication wire, CAN bus wire. It involves a drill, and then the wires, it helps to have one side anchored, and then the other side, the 2 wires will go inside the drill chuck. Now I need 12.5 feet of twisted pair wire. I'm not going to do that on video, but I'll demonstrate how this is done. It's not perfect, but it works. Works in a pinch. The twisted pair, there'll be so many times the wires will twist around each other per inch. So many turns per inch, or I forget how it's exactly specified. Whoops, pulled too hard there. All we want to do is make it consistent. Something like that. So now I will do that for 12 feet of wire. That takes a little bit of work, but you can see it's nicely twisted. I don't know, there's 1.2 inches per twist. I don't remember what the spec is on CAN bus wire, but that looks very uniform and consistent with what off-the-shelf stuff looks like. So I'll go do that and then come back. Okay, so I have my twisted pair wire here, along with not keeping a large roll of twisted wire for communication purposes. I also don't keep green and yellow wire in large rolls either. So what I did, I ended up using just a white wire, and then I have heat shrink tubing. So before I twisted the wires together, I marked each end with a piece of heat shrink tubing, so I know which one is CAN high and then CAN low for green. I also made it longer than I expected it to be, because as it twists, it's going to shrink a little bit, and I'm sure there's a ratio you could sit down and figure out over time. After doing a bunch of this, I just cut it long, then I'll cut off what I don't need here. Also, this is not protected. There's no sheathing on these two wires. So when I get done here, I will finish the harness up, this one in particular, by putting corrugated tubing over it. I'll come back when I have this completed and show you the result. And I'm back. Both cables are complete, ready to be used for the purpose of extending, moving instrumentation, doing whatever they need to do. Not the biggest fan of this corrugated tubing. If it's one size too small, you start to get the issue of it wants to pop out. So have to be careful when it's put in place. Make sure all that it stays inside of the tubing. The problem with short notice is I can only get so much locally at hardware stores for making appropriate wire harness assemblies. This is 1/2-inch convoluted tubing, or a split loom, and multi-conductor trailer cable is a little bit larger diameter than I was hoping it would be. So when I put this, my homemade twisted pair in there, and then put the sheath over, put the split loom over, it doesn't quite close all the way. But I've got it taped about every foot, and that helps. So it should work for them. I think they may even have the right stuff on order from a dealer, or this may be used for the rest of the life of the project or whatever. I don't know. But either way, thanks for watching. If you find this stuff interesting, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel and share it with others who might find it interesting. Thanks.